The Bears are back. Tevin Jenkins, Nate Davis, and Darnell Wright all returned to practice today, a great sign for the offensive line. Welcome to Bears training camp coverage from practice number 13, brought to you by BetUS. There were no pads in today's practice, but the team does seem to be getting healthier, even though there were still multiple starters out today, as Montez Sweat, Kyler Gordon, Tyreek Stevenson, Andrew Billings, Noah Sewell, and Ian Wheeler all missed practice today, but were seen on the sideline riding those stationary exercise bikes. It honestly could just be a conditioning thing, and getting these guys in better shape to prepare for the season. We know that's a big thing with Matt Eberflus. It doesn't seem like anyone is seriously hurt or in danger of missing the start of the season yet, but I'm going to go ahead and knock on wood. The one guy who remains out of practice and was not on the stationary bikes today was defensive end Jacob Martin. He had gotten off to a hot start early in camp, but he's been out about a week now. I'm starting to worry about Jacob Martin. The most interesting note from practice today was Velus Jones was not only getting reps at running back, but he actually took part in the RB position drills, not the wide receiver ones. As far as practice, there was a lot of red zone work and work on the 2-minute drills today, but the team was not in pads. Caleb Williams had another really good day. He threw 5 touchdown passes in the 7-on-7 drills, finding DJ Moore, Keenan Allen, Rome Odunze, Cole Kmet, and Kari Blasingame for scores. Caleb flashed even more talent during the 11-on-11 period and the 2-minute drills, throwing another touchdown pass to DJ Moore that was probably the play of the day, and finishing the 2-minute period with a nice pass to Gerald Everett to set up a field goal. Caleb Williams' progress has been impressive. I can't wait to get a little more behind-the-scenes footage of that tonight on Hard Knocks. Tyson Bent would also throw a couple of nice touchdown passes today. His best was to Colin Johnson, the guy who had a huge game last Thursday night. Bajent would also hit Freddie Swain for a TD during the 2-minute drill. Good to see Bajent stacking together back-to-back good practices. Now more on Velus Jones. His move to running back today did not seem to be a gimmick. I've talked about him getting reps at the position since we drafted him, but today's move looked to be more than just getting him some reps. It almost seemed like a full position change for Velus Jones Jr. The team could be getting Velus ready for some serious reps at the position for this weekend's preseason matchup against the Bills. Eberflus said they will reevaluate his position next week, so it might depend on how Velus performs, but he is getting a real shot at running back here. He took part in the position drills at running back, and then he was in the backfield with both the second and third team today. He was getting toss plays, taking handoffs, and catching screens out of the backfield all day. Our running back room is already pretty stacked, but Velus is competing for a roster spot, and Eberflus said the more he can do, the better chance to make the roster. This could also be because of Colin Johnson and Tyler Scott's ascension so far in camp and preseason. Velus has not stood out at receiver, but he has made some plays in camp, and he is our starting kick returner. But at wide receiver, both Tyler Scott and Colin Johnson seem to be ahead of Velus. Getting the ball in Velus's hands is always a good thing if you ask me, as long as it's not on punt returns. So this potential move to running back is really intriguing, and it would further open the door to a Khalil Herbert trade. Stay tuned on this one. But okay, let's go ahead and talk about the trenches and the offensive line, where today we had some good, some bad, and some ugly. We had all 5 starters to kick the day off. Braxton Jones at left tackle, Tevin Jenkins at left guard, Coleman Shelton at center, Nate Davis at right guard, and Darnell Wright at right tackle. The bad was that Nate Davis again did not finish practice. He left before the 11-on-11 drills started, and he did not return. The line during the 11s remained the same, except Ryan Bates would replace Nate Davis at right guard, and Coleman Shelton would remain at center. Could that be our starting lineup sooner than later on the O-line? It's definitely possible. The ugly, though, was the penalties. Back-to-back false starts. Again, false starts have been an issue. There was also a delay of game, a holding penalty, and more. The offensive line finally looked more healthy, and when they weren't getting flagged, actually performed better today. But overall, it wasn't a clean day for the offensive line. It was good to have Darnell Wright and Tevin Jenkins back. The front five looked a lot stronger than it did during the last practice, but Eberflus did seem to deliver a message to Nate Davis today, saying you could lose your starting job if you aren't practicing, especially if the guy practicing in your place is doing a great job. Today, Ryan Bates would again replace Nate Davis. I think there's a chance Nate Davis could actually lose his starting job to Ryan Bates, which would by default make Coleman Shelton our starting center. Nate Davis needs to get back to practice. But before we get on to the defense, I wanted to thank the sponsor of today's video, BetUS, where you can get all your betting needs for the Bears season ahead. Click the link in the description below to get a 125% bonus on your first 3 deposits up to $2,000. But now let's get to the defense, where Gervon Dexter is a guy I talk about almost every day, but it's not without good reason. He's one of my favorite players on the roster, and he's been my pick for breakout player of the 2024 season all offseason long. Dexter continues looking awesome in camp, and he's become our second best defensive lineman after Montez Sweat. But another guy who had a big practice today was Dominique Robinson, who has been getting more reps with the first team, especially with Montez Sweat out, and he's gotten into the backfield multiple times and even deflected a Caleb Williams pass. D-Rob is quietly having a pretty solid camp. It was Terrell Smith again getting reps in place of Tyreek Stevenson, and Josh Blackwell would get more of the first team reps at nickel corner today. And then on the defensive line, it was Zach Pickens getting first team reps in place of Andrew Billings. Another note was Jonathan Owens returned to practice today. It's good to have him back from the Olympics. I would love to see him play on Saturday against the Bills. Overall, it was a walk-through pace practice, not too much to take away, but it seemed like the offense did win the day. There's always back and forth between both sides, but today the scale tipped a bit towards the offense. Having Tevin Jenkins and Darnell Wright back surely helped, but the defense was also without Kyler Gordon, Tyreek Stevenson, Jaquan Brisker, Montez Sweat, and Andrew Billings. So with 5 starters on the defense out, you'd almost expect the offense to win the day. No reason to make a big deal there. It did look like DeAndre Carter was getting the first team reps at punt returner. He is the guy I expect to make the roster and be our starting punt return guy, but it was Rome Odunze getting the reps behind him. Tomorrow's practice will be padded. Matt Eberflus said they are waiting until later in the week to determine if the starters will play against the Bills, but a couple of reporters on NFL Network seem to let it slip that Caleb will be playing this week. I do expect him to play as well. Look out for Caleb Williams to make his NFL debut in the preseason this Saturday against the Bills for at least 1 or 2 series. And then finally, episode 1 of Chicago Bears Hard Knocks airs tonight. I'm definitely going to be watching that, probably 2 or 3 times at least. And then I will be doing a recap video of each episode. For those that want to know what happened but can't watch it, I should have that out tomorrow morning or by noon at the latest. So if you don't want me to spoil the episode for you and you don't watch it tonight, try to avoid that video. I plan on recapping each of the 5 episodes. I'm really looking forward to this show, to be honest. The 2 clips they've shown as teasers both look really good. They showed off Nick Saban and Matt Eberflus talking about Caleb Williams' development, and then the reaction from the team when Caleb announced his signing bonus was priceless. I can't wait to actually see the whole episode. Thanks again to BetUS for sponsoring the video. I appreciate everyone who watches. Please remember to hit that like button for me, guys. Stay tuned, and until next time, bear down.